The escalating tensions surrounding Iran's nuclear ambitions have renewed anxieties over a potential military strike by the United States or by Israel or both. And central to this issue is the fear that a preemptive attack aimed at crippling Iran's nuclear program and halting the activities of Iranian-backed Houthis could ignite a large-scale regional war. And certainly the Iranians are threatening precisely that. And you mustn't forget, of course, that there was a huge Iranian depot in Syria under a little mountain. Iranian foreign minister has recently cautioned Israel against further military actions, warning of potential large-scale war, and Tehran remains defiant, claiming its nuclear program is peaceful and essential for energy needs, while critics argue that the nation is edging closer to weapons capability, to nuclear weapons capability. And this comes as Israel accuses Iran of arming proxies like the Houthis, who have launched missile attacks against Israeli cities, amplifying the urgency for preemptive defensive measures. Both Israel and the United States have heightened their military readiness, and Israel's recent airstrikes on Iranian facilities, coupled with bolstering their own air defense systems, signals serious preparation for a conflict. Meanwhile, reports suggest that the Biden administration has held high-level discussions regarding possible strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, underscoring the gravity of the situation in the days immediately before or immediately after the Trump inauguration. The collapse of negotiations under the Biden administration, the return of hawkish figures in Trump's incoming cabinet, for example, complicates the landscape. International diplomacy remains at an impasse, with Macron's France advocating for reinstating sanctions and urging Iran to return to negotiations. The European Union's role in reviving the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action faces challenges given Iran's increased uranium enrichment and the strained relations with the West. A strike on Iran would, of course, have far-reaching consequences. It would escalate problems in the region. Hezbollah, emboldened by Iranian support, could launch retaliatory strikes on Israel, opening up a northern front. And of course, the pause in the conflict in Lebanon is simply a pause, simply a ceasefire until just after the Trump inauguration. Iran's strategic position near the Strait of Hormuz could disrupt oil flow, particularly given the cutting off of Russian oil. And this would hugely impact global energy prices. And the risk of the conflict spreading, the widespread civilian casualties, the displacement across the region would lead to a humanitarian crisis of intense size. And not to speak of the alliances which exist between Iran and other powers. China and Russia's backing of Iran complicates Western strategies of Tehran, leverages these alliances to counterbalance US and Israeli pressures. Where are we then? Notably, the foreign ministers, the Iranian foreign minister's recent visit to Beijing highlights Iran's commitment to fostering these ties despite its isolation in the rest of the world. And while both sides express hope that reason will prevail, I hope it will, the likelihood of miscalculation looms large. And diplomatic avenues are narrowing, and the possibility of military confrontation grows, with profound implications for the Middle East and beyond. Because, of course, what we've got is a weakened Iran and a weakened Russia, and weakened powers are not necessarily powers without power. They're not necessarily powers without the ability to strike dangerously in the last days of their life. And they could do irreparable harm globally. I think one should be extremely wary of Iran's belligerence and defiance. And avoiding any escalation will require not only restraint, but renewed multilateral engagement to address the core security and the political grievances driving this particular crisis.